Hello, how are you? We're now entering our third session for the Technology and Engineering Education Virtual Schoolhouse. For this session, we want to get right into the various gear train systems that we used and we put together or assembled during our time at Benton or during our time in class. Let's go to our slide presentation so we can see some of the gear train systems that we actually assembled. I'm going to start the presentation with the first one. Actually, even before we get to the first one, let's do a little bit of vocabulary. We're going to be talking about the simple gear train system, the bevel gear train system, differential gear train system, chain drive system, the lead screw gear train system, the rack and pinion gear train system, the worm and wheel gear train system, drive or belt drive system, and the crank and slider gear train system. And finally, the cam and follower gear train system. So let's get right into it. The first one was a simple gear. That's when we had two round gears where the teeth were equal on both, and therefore it had a 1-to-1 ratio. When we were teaching this, we learned that the gear with the wheel gear with the crank representing the motor, of course, and that one is called the drive gear. The one that moves as a result of the drive gear is called the driven gear. Because these two wheels are the same, then the ratio would be 1-to-1. Unlike in the B, one may have 12 teeth, the other may have 36 teeth, and therefore we have 12 over 36, which gives this a 1-to-3 ratio. Means that this wheel is turning 3 times faster than this wheel. For every one revolution, this one would make a third of a revolution around. It would turn a third of a time, a third of a turn. The next is the bevel gear system. Notice with the bevel gear system, both gears are the same size, so therefore they're turning equal and they're at the same speed. They have a 1-to-1 ratio. They can be reversed or they can go forward. Again, this is called the bevel gear assembly. Bevel gear assembly. Here we have the differential gear system. The differential gear system, you'll find that it's used sometime in automobiles, sometime in the transmission, sometimes in the universal joint. Not uncommon to find a differential gear inside of a transmission of a vehicle. Let's go on to the next one for the sake of time. This one is called the worm and wheel gear system. Uh, It is sort of like a 1-to-2 ratio, and the speed can be reversed. The power is reversible. In this case, this is the drive system, and this is the driven gear. Again, the name of that is called the worm and wheel gear link. And we have the lead screw. Some of you may remember building this. We have 3 lead screws on here, and you had to be very careful to turn them the right way so that they were synchronized as this movement, as this carriage moved from A to B to C. If not, it would get stuck. And sometimes we use these on elevators. The next is the rack and pinion gear system. This one, sometimes you may have to shim or build up with spacers to make sure that these two gears are in contact with each other. In the real world, we call that meshing. Make sure that the gears mesh. They need to be in contact with each other. If not, they could strip out trying to mesh. Therefore, you want to shim these and raise them up a little bit, spacers, make sure it's a good connection between the rack and the pinion gear. Next, we have the chain drive system. With the chain drive system, we got two issues that come into play. One's called speed and the other is torque. When speed is up, torque is down. When speed is down, torque is up. Okay? So it's like a tank. Tank can go slow and it gets a lot of traction, but it cannot go very fast. Bicycle, you can get a lot of speed out of it, but you can't get much traction uh, because of the speed issue. But you want some traction, you have to get lower speed. And of course, a train, like I said, a chain-driven gear is much easier when you're trying to get more torque. Also, you want to keep this chain tight. A loose chain can cause injury in a factory, can cause injury to your staff, your employees. Even if you're riding a bicycle, a loose chain can cause a problem. Get the chain caught in your pant leg or whatever, and it can cause serious injuries. So always keep your chain lubricated and keep it fairly tight. Not real tight, but fairly tight. Don't let it sag, whether it's a chainsaw or a bicycle. Next, we want to move on to the belt driven gear. This is the least of my favorites because with the belt gear, if I put any pressure on this pulley, if I want more power, I'm going to lose it because my belt is going to slip. And if it slips too much and the drive gear keeps going, it's going to burn the belt or make the belt brittle. And pretty soon it's going to break and it can cause serious injuries when it flies off. So you want to be careful with a belt drive system. If it breaks, someone's going to get injured. Be very careful with that. Don't make it too tight, and yet don't have it too loose that it flies off. And so it's my least favorite. Next, we have a crank and slider. One thing I remember about the crank and slider, it reminded me of the train. Many of the old steam engines used a crank and slider type of system, steam engine. Anytime you have a boiler or something, you might see the crank and slider go forward or backwards. You can get reverse or forward motion. The speed remains constant between the two gears. So that's pretty good. It's a good system to use. The next one I want to deal with is the cam and follower. Pay attention to the cam and follower because one thing I've learned about that is the follower needs to be in the middle of the cam. And on top of that, here's the main issue. You cannot reverse a cam and follower. It only goes one direction. You can't make it back up. You can't make it go in reverse. Pay attention to that. If you ever build something with a cam and follower, it only goes in one direction. That's very important. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, that was our last one. Good. Okay, which mechanism can increase speed? I found it was a simple gear train, and there were two or three others. I'll let you find those. Which mechanism can increase torque? He said word can increase torque. One, the chain drive system, and you might find one or two others. For number three, which mechanisms allow the reversal of power? Name five or more, or identify five or more. I found the simple gear train system, powers are reversible, chain drive, the crank and slider, the belt drive, the rack and pinion, the bevel gear assembly. All of those, the power can be reversed. So, hope you enjoy this presentation. Try to keep it short and to the point. And hopefully, I'll see you next week when you come back again for another exciting lesson review. We're going to talk about the test bed, VEX robotic test bed. What are the parts? Uh, how do they connect with the cortex? We'll review that as well. All right. Have a good day. Look forward to seeing you again next week.